Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Table Talk. I'm Olivia Wieseler with the Star-Herald, and today we have Dave Wolf with the Legacy of the Plains Museum here to talk to us about the Harvest Festival and some other things that are going on at Legacy. So I guess just to start us off, could you tell me a little bit about Harvest Festival this year and what's all planned for that?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's our 25th annual Harvest Festival, and we're doing dry edible beans this year.
Okay.
And we're one of the few museums in the country that we've heard of that actually grows and interprets beans in the field still. So, you know, with around 90% of the great northern beans in the whole world grown in our region, we think it's important for people to know some of that history. So it's September 18th and 19th, Saturday and Sunday. And it's all the great things that we always do. So we've got the wagon rides, and the barrel train, and the pedal tractors, and live demonstrations and animals. But we've had some other things too. So we have UNL Extension is coming down, and they're going to do talk about some of their research and go through the field and be able to kind of point some things out for people. They've also got a couple displays, so they'll talk about where our beans go and the different varieties, and even do some DNA sequencing and stuff like that, which is really cool. And then they'll also have somebody there that'll do beans in an Instapot. So they're really kind of adding a lot to our Harvestful this year. So live music and animals, like I said, and food and all sorts of good stuff.
That's awesome. And so tell me a little bit about the history of Harvest Festival. You said that this is the 25th year of doing it. What do you know what kind of spurred it, why it's important, that kind of thing?
Well, I think what spurred it was when Farm and Ranch Museum started it. It was a way to showcase their antique tractors actually in the field. It's easy to go to a museum and be like, oh, okay, this is great, but it's a lot more interesting when you see them running, and you can see what they did and really go through the evolution of harvesting, whether it's from hand to horse. And then to the machinery, and our machinery uses generally 40s, 50s, some 60s, but we do have horses that come up, and so we're really excited about that. Although there's not too much to do with beans, so we've got some other demonstrations, some haying and stuff that we're going to do with that. But I really think that was the start of it.
Gotcha.
And so many people are 1, 2, 3, 4 generations removed from the farm. So it's really important to show how people worked, what they did, but also this is where your food comes from. And even though we live in a rural farming community, there's still people that don't really realize that.
Yeah, for sure. So tell me a little bit about why people should come to Harvest Festival this year. I mean, you mentioned all the fun things going on and everything, but tell me a little bit more about that significance of why people should attend.
Well, first of all, it's $5.
Okay.
And 0 to 12 is free. So you get to see everything in the museum. So we have our sponsors, Bill and Marcia Vaughn, WNCC, Platte Valley Plumbing, B&C Steel, Simmons Olson, and then Inland Truck Parts, and also Kelly Bean. They've sponsored our gallery, so they can get into the gallery, they can get into the Wiedemann House and the Gentry Cabin. We'll have people in the blacksmith shop. So all the buildings will be open, so you get to see the full service that we provide. But really, it's that excitement of being able to reconnect with the past. You'll have people there that I started on that tractor. I worked beans. I know exactly what they did when they had to go and dig out the ditch, the furrows in between, so that there's no what they call trash in it, right? And it's really that connection to the past. I like to say this is everybody's legacy here, whether you're 100 years old or you're 1 day old. You're either forming the legacy or being formed by it, and so it's really the past and cultural past of the area. So you're going to learn things. You're going to learn things you never knew before, and you're going to hopefully come away with it of this experience of being like, man, okay, what's the next crop? And we want to come back next year, and so that's why we continue to do it, and I think that's why it's important. Plus, it's going to be fun. You can go dig your own, you can pick your own potatoes. We'll have a Lockwood potato digger that was built right here in Gary, Nebraska. they'll be able to pull the potatoes up. You'll be able to come and get nice fresh potatoes. You'll see how beans worked. You'll be able to see our longhorns and some oxen, and we'll bring our chickens out, so you'll be able to see that. I mean, it's really the full experience, and there's very few shows in this area like it.
That's awesome. And so this is just one thing that is going on at Legacy right now. Well, tell me a little bit about what else is coming up, what else is happening.
So we just did our 4th grade technology through time. So schools can contact us. I know last year was with the pandemic, there wasn't a lot of field trips. So if there's teachers out there that are interested in maybe kind of redoing some of that stuff, we're more than happy to accommodate that. But we just started a podcast, so I'm really nervous about how this is going to be. But we've got our first 2 episodes, and you can go to our website, which is legacyoftheplains.org, or you can go to legacypodcast.net. And our first one was talking with Gary Warner. Gary's grandparents, both sides, settled here in western Nebraska, and he's a volunteer and takes care of our longhorns. But it was really interesting how his family got here. And then we talked a little bit about his travels, and then the different cattle breeds that have come in and how longhorns are different and stuff. So, and our second one we just dropped yesterday. I was talking to Jack Preston, and Jack Preston was an original member of Farm, founding member, and does a lot with the Homestead Act. So he's got a lot of that early. He had access to a lot of the early filings, so he knew where. These people that came in filed, and so it was extremely important, because without the Homestead Act, settlement here of white Americans would have been a lot slower coming. But because of that, it was incredibly important, and his great grandparents settled here using the act, and then his grandparents, one of his grandparents actually came in the Kincaid Act, which was a different one, but yeah. So and then we talk a little bit about his family history and the importance of that. So, and we're just going to keep doing that. There's so many stories out there that are being forgotten, and I'm a story person. I like hearing them. I like telling them, and the podcast is a perfect way to do that. So
for sure. How did the idea for the podcast come about? Where did that start?
So I watch a lot of YouTube, and I watch a lot of the historical stuff on YouTube, and I'm like, well, maybe I can do this. And then it's a lot more work than what I thought it would be. And we've got some great sponsors, Platte Valley Bank, Intralinks, and Sandberg Implement. They got on board with us, and they were like, here, we'll help kind of fund some of the equipment and the software. And I was like, here we go. And I got a great production guy. He's doing a great job for me, and so it's we'll see how it goes, but this is just another avenue to get out, and we eventually want to start doing videos, and we want to do a speaker series, so okay, here's the next 6 months worth of speakers coming out, and it's just more of that outreach, getting the stories out there, getting people to know that there's more than just some stuff that we have in a museum. And also learning some history about your own town. I think a lot of people don't know the local history, and we're finding that the more we can get out here and do that, just the more knowledgeable people about it. So
for sure. And you said that is there like a set time when the podcast comes out, or still kind of working that out?
We try to do it weekly. It's not really. It's about every 2 weeks. But we're going to try to record a bunch and then get them produced and then kind of space them out a little bit. But yeah, and just listening to the stories, I'm sitting there. I'm all giddy because I just love sitting there talking and so we're looking at doing personal histories, but and also events. So we talk about, or I want to talk about the blizzard of the 1948, the real scene of it, the explosion of the sugar beet factory, things like that. But then also talk about how did irrigation start here? How did beans start? How did talk about the Roubidou brothers when they came in the 1840s and 1850, and the mountain men, and how did the travelers come through, and Native American cultures and Japanese culture. How did they get here? What did they do? And so there's just so much out there My problem is trying to whittle it down
Yeah.
to only be about 45 minutes to an hour. But yeah, that's some of the stuff that we're looking to do.
Okay.
And so.
Cool. Awesome. Anything else about any other events coming up or any other projects you guys are working on that you want to talk about?
So right now, we have planned the Halloween event again. So we'll do a trick or treat, and then we have our High Plains Christmas. So for nonprofit organizations, we do a Christmas tree decorating contest, and then we sell tickets, and those are the tickets used to vote. So the nonprofit gets 50 cents, and we get 50 cents of every dollar spent. So it's a nice little way to not only promote your event, but also to get a little bit of money. We're looking for volunteers. So if anybody wants to learn a little bit more about history, a little more about their area, and has some free time, we're doing orientations and kind of on-the-job training for them. They won't be by themselves. We'll pair them with another volunteer, but we've got all sorts of kind of living history and upfront and archives and collections and down to shop and grounds maintenance, whatever they're kind of comfortable doing. We've got lots and lots of opportunities. Any internships similar that people are interested, just contact me and we'll see what we can do. We've got also video distance learning classes that we'd like to kind of start up, because who knows with COVID if schools are going to be able to be open. But if there's a school in Louisiana that wants to learn about the Oregon Trail, we're right on it.
Yeah, there you go.
So we can have some people come in and talk about it and really just kind of get that full experience. And Gary Kino was great to be able to help us with that. So yeah, we've got lots and lots of things coming out, and if you haven't been out the last couple of years, you need to come out and see it, because we've changed a lot. And we really want to be that museum that you come to 4 or 5 times a year, not once every 4 or 5 years. So lots of great things to see there and great stories to hear. So
awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming in and telling me a little bit about Harvest Festival and all the other stuff you guys got going on. You guys are pretty busy over there.
Yeah, it's great. We've got a great group of volunteers, and we've got some really good programming. We had our Puzzles of the Past started back up again today, so that's the second Friday of each month, and we did Moral. We'll be doing Moral the next couple months. But yeah, lots of good things coming out, and if there's suggestions or you think things that people would like to see or do better, just let us know and we'll see what we can do. So
awesome.
But thank you. We appreciate all your guys' support and help too. So
for sure. Well, thanks again for coming in. And again, this was Dave Wolf with Legacy of the Plains, and I'm Olivia Wieseler with the Star-Herald. Thanks for watching.